Hello again, this is Brian King, success coach for ADHD, dyslexia, Asperger's, executive functions, you name it. I'm coming to you live from iPhone Central, and what I'm going to be talking about today are the impulse issues that many of our kiddos have. Now, you've seen this impulsivity show up in terms of blurting something out, not often the most PC thing or the most comfortable thing to hear, unwanted touching, taking things they're not supposed to, things that they've been asked not to do about 1,000 times, they continue to do. So I'm going to offer you two strategies to help your kid begin to break that cycle of impulsivity. The first thing you need to understand, and one thing I want to preface this with by saying is, my ideas tend to be different than other ADHD coaches out there, and I think one of the big reasons is because I have raging ADHD and dyslexia, and tend to think a little outside the box. And that's also why I tend to have better results than other coaches, because of just the way I think about things. So with that, the first thing we want to help our kiddos do is help them understand that there's actually a gap between the desire to do something and actually doing it. Because with a lot of our kiddos, they don't realize that they're actually making a decision, because the impulse and the action happen so fast that they don't even feel the gap in between. So we need to help them discover that gap again. And sometimes we may even need to install it. It might not even be there. So the gap is thought, decision, action. Decision is the gap, okay? We want to help them learn that they're making decisions. So when they act out, they do something impulsive, probably, as another parent, you've probably gotten in the habit of saying, stop it, don't do that. How many times have we talked about it? Well, correction, shaming, embarrassment doesn't teach them the gap. Instead, I recommend this. When they do the impulsive action, you're going to say, well, that was an interesting choice. Why did you decide to do that? And they might say, well, I didn't decide it. You can say, actually you did. Maybe you weren't aware of it. Because your brain is one of those special brains that happens to work so fast that sometimes you skip over the decision, or you make the decision so fast, you're not even aware you made a decision. And just keep planting that seed. That was an interesting choice. Or that was a very curious decision you made just then. What was that about? Hey, Jenna, thanks for chiming in. So that's one strategy. The second strategy is using mindfulness, which is a really powerful technique that I use for managing my own ADHD. Learning to be present, especially with your breath. The breath is naturally calming. And anybody that's ever experienced impulsivity before can explain that it feels like this tension building. It's like pressure building up inside a cooker that's just dying to get out. But when it comes out, it's like, boom, it explodes. So we need to change the child's relationship to that pressure, okay? And one way you can do it is when they do something impulsive, there tends to be some impulse, residue afterwards. It's not completely released after they take action on it. So one thing you can invite them to do is to take a deep breath with you. Hey there, Lori. And this is how you do it. They get very, very impulsive. They take an action and you say, quick, take a deep breath with me. Then in the nose, out the mouth, because this is what you're trying to do. You're trying to introduce the idea that there's another option to dealing with the impulse besides taking action on it. So when the child starts to feel this tension build, you're training them to take a deep breath, to breathe through it. This is a very powerful technique. It's also good for just anxiety in general. So practice these two strategies. Let me know how they work for you. Of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more where this came from. And follow up with me. Go to my website, brianraymondking.com. I have a newsletter there with all kinds of wonderful tips. And there's articles on my website as well. And if you got the time, schedule a time to talk to me for a 30-minute free session on me, because I'm really here to help. So enjoy this, pass it along to other people you think could benefit from it, and I'll talk to you again soon.